Welcome back to Rex Programming's Introduction to Python. In this lesson, we are going to be covering tuples. Let's begin. Go ahead and open up Atom, and in Atom, in your Rex Python folder, create a new folder called Tuples. In your Tuples folder, create a new file called creatingtuples.py. Creatingtuples.py is going to be a program to help you learn about creating tuples, which are very similar to lists in Python, except that they are immutable, which means that they're really made so once you declare a tuple, that you're not going to want to edit the items inside of it. Let me show you what I mean. So let's say I wanted to create a tuple for all of the months in a calendar year. I would create months and then use parentheses to let Python know that this is going to be a tuple instead of a list. Then I would take all my items and separate them by a comma. Now I have a tuple of all of my months, and I can now call upon these months via index. So if I wanted to say months 0 to get the first item, January, I could do that. Or months 11 to get the last item, December, I could do that. However, unlike lists, like I said, you cannot change these items. So if I wanted to say months and say 0 for January and change it to something like March, Python will not let me do that. It will give me an error. And it will say cannot change elements in tuple because that is not allowed. And you wouldn't want to. Months in a calendar year are never going to change. They'll always be in this order: January, February, March, April, May, all the way up to December. And so this is a perfect time to use a tuple. Tuples come with this .count function as well. So you can use this .count function and say months.count, and now I can say how many times is an item appearing in my tuple. For example, January. We know that this is going to appear once. But let me just create another tuple real quick. I'll call it Word, and I'll say Word is M-O-M. And I'll put it in my parentheses. And so I have this tuple, MOM, and I'm going to now say word.count M. And you'll see it's going to give me 2 because there are 2 M's in my tuple. So this is a good way to count how many times an item appears in your tuple very easily. And then I can iterate through a tuple very easily as well. So for month, in months, print month. Just like a list. And I'll be able to get each item out from my tuple and do anything to that item. For example, print it one at a time. And finally, tuples are great because Python allows you to assign variables using tuples as well. So I could do something like A, B, C is equal to 1, 2, 3. And now if I say A, 1. And if I said B, I would get 2. If I said C, I would get 3. So I can assign each one of these and unpack my tuple variables very quickly using Python all in one line of code. So tuples are awesome. It's good to know. You can create a tuple using parentheses, separating your items by commas. You can index through a tuple using the number because they stay in an order. And then you can use the count function to see how many times an item appears in a tuple. You can iterate through a tuple very quickly, in fact, faster than a list because it's immutable. And finally, you can assign variables using a tuple and unpack your variables, multiple variables at a time. That's it for today. Congratulations. I'll see you in the next video.